That was such an L. That was such an L that I took. Aaron, what did I say? One simple request. All I said was, don't embarrass me. Here I am writing so hard for you, believing in the Jets. All I said was, don't embarrass me. All I said was, don't embarrass me. And now we have a head coach and a GM fired. And we're not even at the end of the season.
Isn't that remarkable?
And they're what, 3-7?
3-8.
3-8.
Right? 3-8?
3-8.
3-8.
3-8. See, I blocked out one because it's been so bad.
Well, maybe you blocked out the Denver Broncos loss because, ladies and gentlemen, we just spent 10 minutes, and thank you for listening if you did. If not, go back on our podcast, wherever podcasts are found, and listen to the first 10 minutes of our show. We spent 10 minutes talking about kind of what happened yesterday and all of the things, the tentacles around what happened yesterday. Oh, boy. Overnight, we wake up this morning, and The Athletic dropped a piece with Smalls' very close friend, Diana Rossini, heading up the reporting on this. And in this piece, it stated that after the Jets lost to the Denver Broncos in Week 4, 10-9, September 29th, that Woody Johnson, the owner of the team, had a meeting with the general manager at the time, Joe Douglas, the head coach at the time, Robert Saleh, the interim head coach now, Jeff Ulbrich, Nathaniel Hackett, and others, and suggested that the team bench Aaron Rodgers, that Aaron Rodgers was hurting the team, and that they play longtime NFL veteran Tyrod Taylor, who's been on a million teams because every team looks at him probably the exact opposite of Rodgers. You could put him anywhere. He'll fit with anyone, do anything to help the team, and kind of a class act kind of guy, right? Mm-hmm. Put that guy in. The coaches then, according to the reporting with The Athletic, said, no, come on. We can't do this to Rodgers. This is not fair. This is embarrassing, et cetera, et cetera. My interpretation of that since is a remarkable thing that's happened here. So as we understand this, Woody Johnson tried to bench Aaron Rodgers. Robert Saleh then defended him and got him to keep the starting job. And then Woody Johnson fired Robert Saleh when talking to Aaron Rodgers the night before, as everyone has noted. And in essence, there is a chance that Aaron Rodgers helped get the guy who saved his job fired unknowingly. That's how I'm interpreting this. Am I nuts to interpret it that way?
No. I don't think you can take anything off the table when it comes to the dysfunction that was happening behind the scenes with the Jets this year.
Yeah.
That is a sad state of affairs. I don't know. I don't know that they were ever going to have a chance to have success giving Aaron Rodgers so much power. And let this serve as a cautionary tale for all the franchises out there that are getting it in their heads that one individual player is going to come in and save them from the dysfunction that is happening around them. Getting a quarterback absolutely helps the cause, but you actually have to develop the infrastructure within your organization to get the most out of your people. The Jets are a talented team. Anybody with eyes can see that they've got some promising young stars on that roster. But you have to be able to put it all together. And it's not just going to be one person that is going to change the culture in a positive. It's going to have to be a concerted organizational effort. Now, you can't have one person tear down the culture. And that's exactly what we've seen from Aaron Rodgers the last couple of years.
You're right. One person can tear down the culture. That's very interesting. But was there a culture that already existed when he got there? Because that's where I think there was also kind of a fatal flaw in this whole idea. He was supposed to go there and build a culture when in reality, he should have gone somewhere where a culture already existed and he was a complementary piece to that. And
he made a D into an F, right? I mean, that's kind of what you're saying. Like, it's not like they had a passing grade or a great grade in the culture department, Smalls.
Well, I think what we're learning a lot this season and last season is that when one person is expected to change all of this or is given all of the power and wanting to change everything in their favor, it doesn't necessarily work. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, failure. Russell Wilson in Denver wanted all of this power. He wanted to be above the team in a lot of ways. That was a failure. It didn't work out. Mm-hmm. We look at Jerry Jones, who's putting himself above the team's wants and needs and what's best for them as a collective. It's not necessarily working out. And players are supposed to be a vessel between the coach's message and the locker room, right, CC?
Yep.
And I think a lot of times these guys look at Tom Brady and how he went from New England to Tampa Bay. He kind of did it his way, and he ended up winning a Super Bowl, and they think they can replicate that. But what they fail to realize, Russell Wilson in Denver and now Aaron Rodgers with the Jets, is that he was still a conduit to Bruce Arians.
No doubt.
He wasn't above the coach. He wasn't above the team. Of course, he was the most important piece of the puzzle, arguably. I don't even know if it's arguably. He's Tom Brady. But he still was a part of the collective, not one singular person that everyone had to follow.
Well, and here's the thing. Tom Brady is the outlier. Every rule has an exception. So I'm just going to put Tom Brady off to the side.
Yeah.
Like, that's just
Agreed.
different, okay? Like, Tom Brady, microwaving a culture, that can happen. Now, everybody will say, well, didn't Matt Stafford come from the Detroit Lions and go to the LA Rams? Yeah, the Rams went to the Super Bowl 3 years before they actually won it with Jared Goff. So they already had a winning culture in place. You know what I'm saying?
That was
Sean
the A to A plus.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Sean
what
McVay
Stafford
had
did.
built it, and
That's
he
what
was in
Stafford did.
control.
He just enhanced what
Exactly.
Sean McVay and Les Snead had already built.
Correct.
And so I guess that's the biggest point that we have to make when it comes to the Rodgers of it all. They were so reliant on this one player to do everything for them, not just on the field, not just in the locker room, but from an organizational standpoint to help build the infrastructure to get the most out of their young players. And Aaron Rodgers has never shown the propensity to do that throughout his entire career. Even when he won a championship, there were other team leaders in that locker room that were carrying the water for the culture of the Green Bay Packers. Guys like Aaron Campman, guys like Charles Woodson, those guys were there. Donald Driver, Dog. Like, those guys were the leaders. Those were the alphas. Aaron Rodgers just had to worry about the business of playing quarterback. But when you start paying a guy $40, $50 million a year, they got to do more than just produce from an individual standpoint. They've got to be a part of the solution when it comes to the culture of it all. And for somebody that has been given so much influence throughout the Jets over the last couple of years, you would expect more from Aaron Rodgers. And that's what Joe Douglas and Rob Saleh were banking on. And that's why sitting here today, both of those dudes are unemployed.
Unbelievable.
There's so many tentacles to this story. We're going to be discussing it all day long, but there's one thing that I cannot shake out of my head. Is this the end for Aaron Rodgers? And if it's the end, have we seen a more fizzling ending when it comes to great quarterbacks in this league? Like, everything that you just said, CC, is so true. And what other team is going to want to sign up for that in 2025? What team at this stage of his football life is going to want to bring him in and think that he's going to be the answer? Because he did say that he wants to, when asked if he wants to come back in 2025, he said, I think so.
There's no chance he wants to play for the Jets.
But where would he play if not for the Jets?
I
What
just
team
don't.
is gonna
Do you
bring him in?
believe? Okay, let me follow up on your question with a question back to you. You said, "Is this it for Aaron Rodgers?" Is there a chance Aaron Rodgers has already played his last game in the NFL? When Woody Johnson, the owner of the team, wants to bench him after 4 games, the coach won't. He then fires that coach. The general manager, who's got like 6 weeks left on his contract, he fires early to start the process so he can potentially hire the guy prior to him going overseas if he's going to be an ambassador to the United States starting in January. Like, if he wants to get that done before he goes and hires his people, because his brother did the last time and he obviously didn't like that with Saleh specifically. Like, who's to say they don't just start Tyrod Taylor in their next game? They have a bye this week. Are we positive Aaron Rodgers will be the quarterback for the Jets? Because if Rodgers reads the reporting in The Athletic and then checks in on it, and it's true, Rodgers will feel betrayed by Woody Johnson, who he thought was his friend. He talked about it on McAfee. He thought he had a good relationship with the Johnson family post-playing football. He said that, specifically with Chris also. But if he feels betrayed, are we sure there's not a come-to-Jesus kind of meeting of, listen, I don't want you, you don't want me, go play Tyrod Taylor. Go play Jordan Travis, the rookie, if he's healthy. Are we sure that he hasn't already played his last game?
Well, that's a great point that you're making. And just to spin it around, should the Jets even want him to play?
Okay, good one. Let's talk about
the salary that he has next year is not guaranteed, but you do have the risk of injury, and if the player can't pass a physical at the start of the new league year, the team is still on the hook.
Okay, I didn't realize that. So the Daniel Jones.
So yeah, the Daniel Jones. So do you want him to play?
Let's talk about that.
Do you even want him to play?
So
he's a 40-year-old, soon to be 41-year-old quarterback.
We got to answer that question. Okay, we got to answer that question because now you're putting it into a whole different light. Plus, we'll get to the college football playoff rankings. Oregon is still number 1. You want to talk about weird endings? I mean, are we seeing one in Philadelphia with Joel Embiid? We will get to that. We got a lot to do on a wild day here. We are on Sportsmanlike, presented by
Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Justin Fields is dealing with a hamstring issue, but NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reported that he avoided a major injury. According to NFL Network's Mike Garafolo, Fields will be listed as Pittsburgh's emergency third-string quarterback for Monday night's game against the New York Giants. The news comes after Rappaport added that Fields would test his hamstring before his status was determined against the Giants. He reportedly wasn't forced to miss any practice time because of the injury. Fields went 4-2 in those 6 starts and has played fairly well this season while completing 66.3% of his passes for 1,106 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He also has 231 yards and a team-high 5 touchdowns as a runner, which isn't surprising since that mobility has been the best part of his game since entering the league as a first-round pick in 2021. The Steelers decided to turn to Wilson after the veteran returned following those first 6 games and will surely continue to rely on him if Fields is sidelined with this injury. Still, the Ohio State product gives the offense an additional dimension that Wilson doesn't because of his electrifying running ability, and Pittsburgh will surely want that skill set as an option even if Fields isn't the primary starter under center.